Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pash On Podcast. Let's get started with your host, Brian Pash.
Hi, this is Brian Pash, and welcome to the podcast. On today's show, we have Dean Evans. He's the CEO of Fuel, a division of the Cars families of companies. Dean, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having me on today.
Well, I think Alex Vetter has a winning combination of executives, Joe Chur with Dealer Inspire, you heading up Fuel. I mean, there's so much positive momentum in the auto industry, and you have the ability to head up the hottest product in the entire Cars portfolio, your new Fuel product. Dean, how exciting has it been since the launch at NADA?
No, it's been very exciting. Thanks for having us on. Thanks for the great kickoff like that. Since NADA, it's been nonstop. Yes, we've had some trying times since NADA. I can't believe I'm saying that. That was that long ago, and what we've been through since. But from our own side, that has allowed us to even be more focused around our product and getting that launched. And we've had phenomenal success with our Cars customers, listening to what we had to offer, and it's been great watching them come on board recently. So it's been a great time so far.
Yes, and dealers should remember that Cars has really been dealer-centric in their product focus, just in the way they stand up for dealers, and that's been really exciting to see the evolution now with a powerful video platform called Fuel that's giving dealers a competitive edge. Those of you who have followed our podcast series know that Dean spoke at the Digital Marketing Strategies Conference and had a powerful message that was brought home by some of their dealers. And Dean is going to be speaking again at the AAA Summit in November. Before we talk about the upcoming summit, Dean, for dealers who are not familiar with what Fuel is, what's the elevator pitch? What's the benefit for their business in a COVID-stressed world?
Yeah, no, the main point of Fuel is it's just allowing you with sight, sound, and motion, the most powerful medium, video today, and really deliver it only to people shopping actively today for a car. And it's packaged in a very unique way. It's delivered zip code unique only, so there's only one dealer per zip, and we have multiple Cars customers now, dealer customers that are buying multiple zips. But the point is that allows them maximum performance out of that territory or set of zips that they've chosen. So that's really Fuel, and it's been doing a good job. It drives market share, reduces cost per sale, and it just gives you the confidence over time that what I like is instead of changing out your creative every day and hoping it's better than the day before, Fuel is different. You have a unique audience that's fresh to you every 30 days. And so that's the uniqueness of it. And that gives you the confidence over time in your long term with Fuel that it fuel proofs your store, we like to say. And it basically just protects your market share moving forward. So that's really Fuel in a nutshell, high powered in market video in the marketplace.
And for dealers who are still not really sure how this video product may differentiate itself from the dozen other people who are badgering you on the phone trying to sell OTT, from radio companies, the newspaper companies, to the paper boy who is trying to make some extra money selling OTT. Let me tell you this. As a marketing professional, I always am somewhat careful or suspicious when someone says, I have an in-market shopper audience. Everyone says they have an audience. Well, what's this audience? Well, it's made from this. And at some point, a marketing professional has to trust the audience. Now, we can run campaigns and just, like I've done hundreds of times, advertise some product or service in a circle around the dealership, see the performance, then run the same ad using somebody's audience, which is supposed to be in-market shoppers, to see a lift. The beautiful thing about the Cars.com audience is the people that go to cars.com are not there for service. They're not there to talk to their friends. They're not going to that website to deliver packages to the dealer. People who go to cars.com are shopping for used and new cars. And it's that audience that you and I know exists. We know that they have world-class editorial content. We know that millions of people, 30 plus million people, go to that site every month. It's those people you're buying overlap with your zip codes. And to me, Dean, it's just easy for dealers to understand. You mean you're going to give me your multi-million-dollar brand traffic exclusive in a zip code for me to advertise to those people who were recently on cars.com? To some dealers, that sounds too good to be true.
And it's exactly what it is. It's exactly as you described. And what I would say is, yes, there's still necessary need for OTT and these other avenues. All we're trying to say at Fuel is there is a better way to get to the audience that's more pure than a modeled way. If you model or do other people's modeled audiences, you might get to a portion of them. I always say by the time, I always kind of laugh about it, by the time you modeled the audience, they already bought the car.
Right.
And so the fact of the matter is we like it because our data is sent to the dealer every 24 hours. Things are fresh. We know what's going on. And not saying that those other practices don't have a place in the marketplace. All we're saying is if you want maximum efficiency, buy exclusive zips to own that pure audience, and you're just going to get to that audience at a much more efficient and effective way.
Absolutely. And Dean, in September, my latest book came out, Remote Retailing Blueprint, and it talked about in today's marketplace, creating a clear brand promise that tells consumers that you make it faster, easier, mostly online to buy a car is working to gain market share, especially as we've learned to reimagine retail. We do curbside delivery at Best Buy. We do curbside delivery even at grocery stores. We are using a drive-in. We're using Uber Eats. Changing our thought processes about how a transaction gets done. So dealers who are embracing remote retailing have a clear brand promise. What they need to do is not overthink it, Dean, right? Is they could use Fuel to say, we have the best buying experience in town. And it's faster, it's easier, it's mostly online, and we have an amazing selection of new and used cars. When you think of your clients, is there anyone that comes to mind that's using Fuel to help promote their digital retailing or remote retailing brand promise?
I always use Walzer because it's my favorite, because they were doing it before coronavirus for years, and since then they've really had obviously competition now like never before, and so they've made their processes even better. And so I really like that. But I also think that they understand, like other dealers, that there will be a time and place where consumers want to go back to visiting you and visiting more than one car. I think sometimes we forget about the art of looking at 25 different versions of that Hyundai Palisade, and not just the one-to-one transactions sometimes. But I can't argue with all the touchless activity that's going on right now with everything we do today. It is absolutely a very important thing to make a pillar of who you are as a retailer, and really make it front and center today, because it does resonate better than even a low price car. A better experience does do better from an advertising in return than a low price car today. And so I think people are learning that, but I don't think that'll be like that forever. And I think we will go back to a time where it's a balance of both again.
So what I'm seeing, Dean, is that dealers who don't have a clear brand promise or have never invested in one, they would use Fuel to do maybe that price payment ad.
Yeah.
But you also told me that Fuel has been kicking butt in areas where dealers wanted to attract more trade-ins. They wanted more used car inventory. That's where all the money is being made. Obviously, today, dealers are able to hold gross on new cars, yes, but used cars have been crushing it. Tell me about how Fuel could get a message out in the marketplace to get dealers significantly more calls or drive-ins of people who are willing to sell their car.
Yes, no, good question, or good sentence. My piece there is, we get recently, my inventory is running low. What's my next step? And especially for a new car franchise dealer with a solid used car franchise, we really lean in and say it is time to be in front of that audience, to ask that you change your message around, we want to buy your car instead of we want to sell you something right away, and or how we sell it. We want to explain how we buy a car now, touchless. And so when you start having those different kinds of messages now in front of this audience, it allows more traffic from an in-tuned audience. I will say we have one dealer that's been very creative around really using his local CarMax, and in his ad he convinces the consumer, he talks to the consumer about, check their price out, but then come to me. And it really does do a really good job of getting that phone to ring. But it's just a good example of how good, clever, creative that you've seen happen for 10, 20, 30 years is now mixed with just a really good, solid audience. And you can do different things for that audience, not just sell them a new car, but how to get their used car, for example. So yeah, we're doing a lot of things with dealers that are running low on new car inventory, and really showing them how to really sell more used and buy more used to begin with.
When I was talking to another friend of mine who's been in the agency business a long time, and was selling display advertising for a long time, and they made a comment to me and said, Brian, for years we were selling dealers retargeting banners. Today, retargeting banners get lost on a mobile phone if they even show. And if they're on web pages, I even, looked at some of the news sites like CNBC, all those little stories on the bottom are just like big ad farms. And this agency person said, but Brian, video is crushing it now that we have digital delivery. We can actually match up, like you're doing, those anonymous shoppers on cars.com and get to them regardless of what their cable provider is. We're reaching the cord cutters. We're reaching the people who have traditional cable setups. And he made the comment that I'm kind of laughing how much we believed in static flat banners now compared to sound motion to really fall in love with the car. Are you hearing that from dealers when they're turning on Fuel? They're seeing market share increases and they're scratching their head why, but maybe it's because we finally got real with the media that consumers enjoy best.
You're spot on. Sight, sound, and motion, you can't beat it, especially when so much of the piping is now on those phones, right? And then the beautiful part about video is that it's the full screen on the phone. And that's hard to beat with all those other mediums that we've been trying digitally, for years and years and years.
So Dean, when somebody thinks of Fuel, they're going to buy their zip code. Based on that zip code, your team will establish a budget. One of the questions that I have is some OTT videos are clickable and others are not. Is yours a mix depending on platform? Is it all clickable? What would you tell dealers who are listening to today's podcast?
Yes, some of that is non-clickable. That is delivered through the Fuel system. It is the minority, not the majority. That's why we consider ourselves video and not a TV spot. Like, to me, some OTT delivery, if it's just content to a TV, then that's a TV spot. That's not video. To me, video is interactive, right? And so to us, yes, it's still video. And so to be defined, what you're delivering has got to have some interactivity to it. And so for the most part, all of our delivery does. But there are certain places at the big living room screen that if that customer is there a lot, and that's where we've got to find the customer, then it'll be delivered there. Obviously, you won't have very good click-through on your reports, but our team will walk you through that. Our reporting breaks out clickable platforms versus not, and so you see that kind of thing. But it is definitely a good question, and it's definitely something that we and how we walk our clients through those two different kind of platform capabilities.
And Dean, that's all really determined by the software programming, right? Once you know who's been on cars.com and you're going to go follow them and present these ads, right? The platform, the technology will decide the best place to reach them, right?
Yes.
So a dealer shouldn't worry about necessarily clickable versus non-clickable if that's the way or that's how a consumer is absorbing their media. Like, I don't watch a lot of video on my phone. If I do, I'm watching the television. So I would be someone where your algorithm would probably present more of what you would say a OTT ad on a network platform versus my phone.
Yes.
And I think that's
I'll,
important for dealers to realize that this is not a broad brush stroke, but it's delivering ads based on the shoppers on cars.com, based on the devices that are available to reach them.
yes. And keep in mind, there's two powerful things at play. You get a powerful amount of people that do see the ad. They're on a mobile phone. They have time. They're sitting there, and they're going to click on you. And who knows? Maybe they'll even call your store. But when you're in the living room and you have popcorn and you want to see the next show, you're not jumping to your iPad or calling you at that moment. We have much more of the latter at Fuel than the first. And so that's important for everybody to know, because that customer, though, will eventually think about you because they've seen you more than anybody else as they've started their shopping journey. And you're surely going to be one of the first dealers they Google when they have time to now start their research process again, which is on and off a lot during a 30-day process.
And I will tell dealers who are listening that I know that the cars.com audience is valuable because when Joe Chura and the Launch Digital team, the agency division of the Cars family, started to do Facebook advertising based on the cars.com audience, right? Their proprietary audience. We had clients that had social media campaigns that were just using like Facebook audiences or even their own custom audiences. And when we ran campaigns using the cars.com audience on Facebook, the lift was significant. So if you think about your video placement, there's 12 people probably in your local market that are trying to sell you digital video, but who has the highest quality audience? I'm just going to tell you that cars.com most likely can make the case compared to other vendors who can't tell you how the audience is created, will make the stronger case. And that's why Fuel really should be tested while the zip codes are open. And we have some markets, Dean, right, where the zip codes are completely sold out.
Yes. No, we have many metro markets now that are sold out. We think by the end of this year, due to the overwhelming popularity with our current customer base, because that again was who is Fuel. We're not out like the rest of the group, OTT and everybody else. That's a big differentiator. I don't go out to the whole marketplace and say we're for sale. We spend time with our current customers, showing them this, getting them engaged. And that process, yeah, we think by the end of the year, for sure by NADA next year, will be a sold out situation with Fuel.
Well, that's great to hear. And Dean, you will be presenting at the AAA Summit November 16th, 17th, and 18th, our 3-day advanced conference talking about the latest sales strategies, sales attribution based on marketing investments, and really measurement of how do we improve our retail experience. Also, the Cars family is participating in our face-offs, which is the website face-offs, the marketing automation face-offs, the OTT digital video face-off. This is an exciting time. Why don't you give us a little sneak peek what are you aching to share with the attendees of the AAA Summit? Give them a little teaser. You got some good data that's going to show how powerful the new video platform is?
Yeah, no, that's going to be the hallmark of what we're bringing to the table. I mean, I think the last time we talked, I mean, we were still trying to figure out how this whole thing worked. You know, we were months into this, but now we've got more time and data and more testimonial behind us to show that this works. And it just kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier. Whether we measured that third-party audience from cars through more attribution, or you just reconcile and rationalize, at the end of the day, there's only so many places these in-market shoppers go when it comes time to get into the car shopping process. They go to the OEM website, a marketplace, or a dealer's website. Well, the dealer's website, you've got it. The OEMs, they got it. The marketplaces, they've got the rest. And so that's commonsensical wrapped with good data now, like you brought up, just shows that. And I think that's why we've been popular, is that logic is hard to not agree with, and the performance then shows it.
Well, I'm excited to see what the Cars team puts together on these marketing face-offs. For dealers who are not familiar with what a face-off is, we're going to have 6 companies present their product, platform, and promise to dealers in 10-minute videos, 6 back-to-back video presentations on 4 different topics, and then 30 minutes of live Q&A with representatives from each company, so that dealers can actually go to the AAA Summit in November and see what are the best video products, what's the latest in websites, what's the latest in marketing automation, what's the latest opportunities to improve their business. This is just one of the new features in the AAA Summit. I want to remind dealers that we know that you're busy, but the benefit of a virtual conference is you can participate in as many of the sessions live. You can dial in, ask questions just like a radio show. You can ask questions via the messaging feature. But best of all, dealers who purchase a ticket to the AAA Summit have every keynote, every workshop, every face-off, every panel available online for 30 days. So if you can't get everything that you want, that you've checked off on your schedule, well, you surely will have the time to do it. And that makes it a tremendous educational opportunity for dealers. So please take your time to go to the automotiveattributionsummit.com and get your tickets as quickly as possible. Dean, I'm so excited for just this breakthrough tech and how Cars.com continues to innovate for the dealers. Thanks so much for being on today's show.
Thank you for having me.
And for dealers who are listening to the show for the first time, you should know that Dean's interview is one of a series that are leading up to the AAA Summit. Every week, I'll be releasing a new interview with industry leaders to help automotive retail progress and grow and just realize its full potential in a digital age. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast, and check out our whole library of podcasts through your favorite podcast player. Have a great day.